So why are people putting coatings on their garage floors? And really, there's three big reasons. And the first one deals with just protecting the garage floor. Concrete over time will break down, especially in a garage, because of the salt that you bring in there with your vehicle. So over time, that salt's going to fall into the ground. It's going to eat away at that concrete. Coating it will eliminate any damage to the concrete as a result of salt getting on it. So it's a really good way of protecting your concrete, extending the life of your concrete. The other reason you coat a garage floor is to provide an easy to clean surface. Oils, water, everything soaks into concrete. It's very difficult to clean when concrete gets dirty. By coating it, you're creating a surface that just wipes clean. If you just pose down that coating a couple times a year, it's going to maintain its shine. It's going to look brand new year after year. The last reason, this is the most obvious, is that a coating is going to make the room look like a showroom when we're done. It's going to create a space that looks a lot more livable, a lot cleaner, and it's just going to make that space in your house, whether it's the garage or a sunroom or even the patio or a porch, it's going to create just a great looking surface. So really the aesthetics of it is really a big part of why people put coatings out. All right, so what do we use? What type of materials? And this is an important question because materials for coatings have kind of evolved. 20 years ago, epoxy was really the only material being used for a garage floor. And that's what a lot of people are familiar with, epoxy. And epoxy is a great material. However, there are some drawbacks to epoxy. Number one, it will yellow under sunlight over time. So for a garage that has a door open a lot or windows, not a good idea to put epoxy. Also, any movement of the concrete will most likely cause that epoxy to crack very easily. So an epoxy floor, there are situations where epoxy is great, but we found that in a garage, using polyaspartic and polyurea is a better way to go. So for our base coat, we use polyurea, which has a lot of flexibility to it compared to epoxy. And then for our top coat, we use polyaspartic, which is a type of polyurea that's UV stable and highly scratch resistant, chemical resistant. So a lot more durable, a lot more longer lasting than traditional epoxy. So we found that the combination of the two worked very well, and that's becoming really the gold standard in the industry. So a lot of people ask, well, what's the difference between hiring someone like us versus going to Home Depot or going online and buying a kit for, $500? Well, the difference is in really two things. Number one, the material, and number two, the actual installation process. And starting with the material, what you buy in those kits is basically a watered down version of what we use. So we use professional grade material that's not widely available to the public, meaning it's high solids material. It's very high quality. Our polyurea is 98% solids, meaning 98% of that is the actual polyurea. 2% of that is the color. So that's why it's not quite 100. What you buy at Home Depot, that might be 70% actual chemical, and the rest is just some sort of filler, whether it's water or solvents that they add to it. So those cheaper systems are going to give you a thinner floor because of the fillers they add. The other part that just makes them not last very long is that they don't have the same preparation that we use. So those kits will have you wash your floor down with an acid. An acid is not properly going to prep the floor. What professional contractors will do is grind the floor or shot blast the floor. That is the best way of prepping your floor so that the primer coat is going to soak into it really deep, lock into it, and bond and not peel off over time. It's a time-consuming part of the job. The equipment's very expensive. However, it is vital to do if you want that coating to last more than just a few years. How long does it take to install a concrete coating? Typically, we can do it in one day. However, there are exceptions to that. Number one, if it's a big garage or if there's a lot of restoration we have to do, then it will carry into day two. We don't want to rush the process if we don't have to. Also, weather. If it's really cold out, we can still do the job, but it might just take longer. So it might take an extra day for our base coat to cure before we put our top coat. So typically one day. However, there are certain situations that will require a second day. All right, so what do you need to do to get ready for us to come install your garage floor? Really, you just have to clear the surface away. I know for some people, that's not a fun part of the job, but that's really all you have to do. You don't have to clean your floor. Just remove the items. Things on the wall can remain. Things on the ceiling can remain. You don't have to put up plastic because we do control our dust with HEPA filter vacuums. Now, it's not a dust-free process, but we minimize dust as much as possible. So really just removing those items, putting them in a storage unit or on the driveway or inside your house, that's really the preparation that's required before we arrive. So how long do you have to wait before using your garage floor? Well, you can walk on it the next day. 24 hours is plenty before walking on it. However, your vehicle, you want to give it 3 full days of curing before driving back into the garage. How to keep your floor looking brand new year after year. Now, these are durable floors. They're going to last an extremely long time, as long as you live in the home. However, they do require, like everything in the home, some simple maintenance. And what I tell people is that, 2 times a year, just hose it down. I like to use a solution called Simple Green. It's a very mild degreaser. And you dilute that depending on how bad your floor is. And you just kind of give it a nice scrub with a soft bristle brush, and then hose it down again. And I like to squeegee all the water out. And that's it. I do that 2 times a year, in the fall and in the spring. And every time I do it, the floor looks brand new. Also, if something falls on the floor, oil or debris, the faster you clean that up, the easier it's going to be to clean, obviously. So just hosing it down, wiping up stains, your floor is going to just maintain that new shiny look for a real long time.